Today it's my great pleasure to introduce to you a man who has been so far ahead of the pack that if I said he was cutting edge, I'd actually be insulting him for being slow. This is the man who taught us that ulcers could be treated through antibiotics, that kidney stones were actually a calcium deficiency, that rheumatoid arthritis was an immune problem that again could be treated with antibiotics. All these are mainstream strategies today, but 10 or 20 years ago when Doc started, it was very avant-garde. In fact, probably heresy. I want to get into today Doc's newest statement, which is exercise without supplementation is suicide. And Doc, this is a very intriguing concept, but you know, down through the years you've had so many things be proven right time and time again. I guess my first question to you is, are you the Sherlock Holmes of healthcare?
I like to think so. I think that's probably a pretty kind description of what I do. And of course, the thing that made Sherlock Holmes famous was the fact that he would say just the opposite of what Scotland Yard was saying, and he was always right. I'd say you hit the nail right on the head. I like to be a Sherlock Holmes.
What got you onto this line of thinking, especially with the athlete? Right now, everybody's telling folks to exercise, so are they just putting their head in the noose?
They're actually putting their head in the noose. They're actually cutting their life by 30, 40, 50 years if they exercise and don't supplement. Where I ran into this was about 50 years ago, people began to study what sweat was. And they were these little bitty articles in biochemistry journals, the makeup of sweat. And it was very interesting. Most people thought sweat was primarily just salt and water, but sweat contains everything that's in your blood. And as you sweat, the primary purpose, of course, is to cool your body, but you're also losing nutrients. You're losing amino acids, you're losing vitamins, you're losing major minerals, you're losing electrolytes, you're losing trace minerals, rare earths. And it's a kind of a trickle charge. It's kind of like the toilet that just sort of runs a little bit, drip, 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 and you get a water bill for $500 at the end of the month. It doesn't seem like much, but it does in fact cost you in health and longevity. And so about 25 years ago, because I was an athlete in high school and college, I played football and wrestled. Of course, you sweat a lot in both those sports. And I only weighed 123 pounds and played middle linebacker and played offensive center. That's back in the old days when the players played both offense and defense. And only at 123 pounds. I was very aggressive, but never got an injury. And all these big guys, 200, 240 pounds, were always getting injuries in their ankles and so forth. And the reason I didn't was because living on the farm, I was able to have access to trace minerals that we gave to calves. And so putting together practical experience and taking advantage of some, what was 50 years ago, esoteric research, you know, what's in sweat kind of thing, put it together. And came up about 25 years ago that you were, in fact, throwing your life away if you were exercising and not replacing the minerals you're sweating out.
Wow. You know, it kind of reminds me back, I don't even know when this was, but all of a sudden jogging came up, and was it Bill Kick?
Jim Fixx.
Fixx, okay.
They were close. Jim Fixx, spelled with two X's, F-I-X-X. And, of course, he died at 52. And he wrote all the books, Run Your Way to Health, Jog Your Way to Health. And there wouldn't be any running shoes.
And yeah, wasn't it a number of the runners, including him, just all of a sudden died?
They all do. They all die suddenly. Pretty profound statement. All these guys are supposed to be healthy. They have 4% body fat. What it is, they're sweating out all of their minerals, which protect them from various diseases, including ruptured aneurysms and including heart attacks. In fact, there was a long-distance runner who died in July of 2000. His name was Leonard Hilton. He ran the sub-4-minute mile 32 times, and he was a student of Jim Fixx's. And I always praised Jim Fixx and all his knowledge and training techniques. And Jim Fixx died at 52, and Leonard Hilton, Jim Fixx's student, died at 52. That's pretty much what you're going to get. There has never been a professional athlete live to be 100. And if exercise in of itself was useful for health and longevity, there should be a lot of professional athletes living to be 100, not a single one, Craig.
Wow. It might have been you that says a couch potato is actually living longer than these guys.
You're exactly right. That's me. I like to teach people the basic truth by saying something that's very provocative. That way they remember as a concept. But basically what I did, since there was lots of articles written by long-distance runners saying, hey, you guys, we can get high. We can make our own opium in our brain, and you can get drugged out running long distances here and get into la-la land legally, not worry about getting arrested or anything, just by running. You can lower your cholesterol by running. You can lower your body weight a couple of points. You can get your body percentage of fat down. There's all kinds of wonders to running, how healthy it is. It's good for the cardiovascular system. But it always kind of fascinated me. There was never anything that said athletes live longer. So I decided to do my own survey, and I started looking at obituaries of professional athletes and university and college athletes compared with obituaries of couch potatoes. It's always kind of funny that librarians live to be 103, 104, conductors live to be 89, 95, and housewives live to be 115, and so forth. And the old couch potato lives to be 88 to 120. And professional athletes, the average lifespan is 62 to 65. The ones who play the most, the ones who are the stars, die the youngest. And you look at some of the famous ones, Red Grange, Jesse Owens, people like Wilma Rudolph, Babe Zaharias. You're probably too young to remember her, but she was one of the first great women athletes who could whip men in about 10 different sports. And then there was people like Will Chamberlain, age 63, congestive heart failure. Walter Payton, 45 years of age, died while he was waiting for a liver transplant. He was a pristine athlete, never did drugs, never smoked, never did alcohol.
I know the basketball player that was a real shot.
Reggie Lewis, 27 years old.
There we go.
Died of a cardiomyopathy heart attack, a simple selenium deficiency.